Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So I'm sure you noticed the video quality is not the way it usually is, and that's purely because of the weather. The weather is so unpredictable right now. It's been very hot the past couple of days, and now it's blisteringly bloody cold, and it's been raining. So I am opting for my iPhone. I'm still mic'd up, still want to try and get you at least good, decent audio quality. So yeah, this week I have been driving the Honda Elevate, and it's not the first time I've driven the Elevate. I drove the Elevate on launch in Cape Town. Very cool car. Only gripe, only downfall is the CVT gearbox, but we'll get to that. The car is powered by a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. It is then paired to the CVT gearbox. The only reason why I say the CVT gearbox is probably its only issue is the fuel consumption is probably not as good as it could be. And I find that it's a bit sad because it really could be fantastic. Although I do think the manual of this is probably brilliant. I haven't driven it. I would love to drive it. I actually want to try and get one. But yeah, this is an awesome car actually. I was about to say little car, but not really, actually small. This car for me ticks all the boxes. It's comfortable, it drives great, the drive quality is good. I mean, it does everything. It really does everything. It ticks all the boxes. The boot is enormous, the seats are comfortable. It has synthetic leather, not real leather, but that's not really much of an issue. The sound system is great. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It does everything. It literally does just about everything. So if we look at the front of the Elevate, first thing we notice is the design language is very different to what we're used to. Obviously, we're used to the Honda Fit, otherwise known as the Jazz here in South Africa, the Honda Civic, the Honda CR-V, HR-V, BR-V, and now the Elevate. So things are slightly different. It is a bit boxy, but I don't think there's anything really wrong with that. You do have these really nice daytime running lights. You also have really nice wheels. Now, this is the top of the range model with plenty of ground clearance. As you see, we are currently actually off-road. So pricing on the Elevate, the Honda Elevate Comfort, which is the manual, does start at 371,000 Rand, which really actually isn't that bad. I kind of expected a bit more. However, this being the CVT, it is the top of the range model. So the starting price is 430,000 Rand. Personally, I'd probably opt for the manual. I do prefer manual. It's a personal preference. I don't like the CVT gearboxes too much. I do think that if you opted for the manual, you could probably get a better fuel consumption. I've averaged about 7.1 litres per 100, and that has included some highway driving, as well as being in the city quite a bit. So fuel consumption, good, not terrible, but not Honda. So I do feel like the manual is probably the better way to go. Although, just imagine if they made a hybrid version of this. Reason why I say that, the Honda Fit Hybrid eCVT, you can just about track that thing and put it on the Nürburgring and then give it to a granny, and you'd average about 4.1, 4.4 litres per 100. And I say that because I had it, and that's literally the fuel consumption I got, whether I was on the highway or in the city or in traffic or not in traffic. It stayed the same. I literally got 4.4 litres per 100. I had a colleague, another journalist, who got 4.1 litres per 100. So I do think that could be an idea. If they had to put the hybrid technology with the eCVT in here, that would be awesome. Personally, my previous car was a Honda CR-Z hybrid, which was also a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. I did have the 6-speed manual. I did have the ZF1, which was the first of 3 variations of the car. I had got very good fuel consumption with that car. And also that engine was absolutely solid. I had that car for 8 years. I got it with 87,000 kilometers on the clock, and I only sold it last year, July, with 250 odd thousand kilometers on the clock. Not one day's issue with the engine. I think we only replaced the clutch once. And that was only because, the clutch was going, and Honda themselves told me that, this clutch actually lasted longer than it should. Typically, they get replaced at about 80,000 kilometers. So do not forget, my personal car was a 2011. This is a 2024. 13 years have gone by. Things have changed. This car is probably still 100 times more reliable than what my CR-Z was. And that is a lot considering it is a Honda. So if you get this, it probably will go on forever. But back to the Elevate. It is a bit of a C-segment SUV, being a compact SUV. It is not big enough for me to be considered a fully fledged SUV. However, we do have keyless entry, as well as being able to lock the car here. We do have automatic folding mirrors. But as I just show you the interior is 100% eco-friendly, meaning that you do have synthetic leather. So yeah, it is not real leather, but that really isn't an issue, especially considering the price point. The seats are extremely comfortable. You do have a good old-fashioned handbrake. And as I hop in, we do have 2 cup holders, big enough to hold coffee, wireless charger, 2 USB charging ports, and I know, USB, not USB-C, it is a conversation to be had. That is to turn on your wireless charging. And over here is your infotainment systems. This is, of course, where you can connect your Apple or Android device wirelessly, which is really nice because not a lot of cars have this. And I do mention this to people, and I don't think people understand how much of a novelty this really is because, for perspective, the Mercedes-Benz W206 C-Class, when I drove it, when it came out, more or less, that doesn't even have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You do have to plug your phone in via USB-C cable. So this, having it wirelessly, it's nice. It's a very big deal, guys, so don't take that for granted. The sound system is really good. I am not going to be able to demonstrate to you this because obviously I'm filming with my cell phone, but the rest of the car is very nice. So I just show you the driver's door. Of course, we are able to control all of our windows from over here, as well as your rear view mirrors. Then there's a nice spot for a good sized water bottle. And over here, your steering wheel. Your steering wheel is actually really nice. The steering is extremely responsive. I do think it is hydraulic steering. It's what I love, what I prefer. And we do kind of have a interesting situation with the speedometer because the right-hand side is analog and the left-hand side is completely digital, which is something I've not really seen a lot. But if we just, of course, go over here, we are able to change what we want to see on the left-hand side. So as you can see right now, fuel consumption is on about 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. I've done about 400 kilometers already. This car does have a small fuel tank, so that is one thing I did realize. I thought it was chomping away through fuel. Meanwhile, the fuel tank is not the biggest. So your perception is it might be heavy on fuel. As I mentioned, it's not 6 or 5 liters per 100 kilometers. Don't forget, it is still a little bit of an SUV. But because the fuel tank is smaller, you're going to have the perception that you're going to be using more fuel because you might have to fill up a little bit more often compared to like a bigger car. So don't let that fool you. Fuel consumption is still good, especially for the size of the car. As I mentioned, we do have a CVT gearbox. So this is also a good option. So in terms of a CVT gearbox, it is definitely still a good option to have if you want an automatic and not a manual. Reason being, the CVT is perfect for someone who isn't really necessarily too much in a rush. Reason why I say that, because when you do put your foot down based on how the gearbox works, because it does run on a belt, the engine does kind of strain itself a little bit. It does rev quite high. I personally don't like it. So if you do want an automatic, this is still something to look at, to get, to test drive. Give it a shot. If you just want something small for your family to get around in, perfect. But if you do need to get to places in a rush, probably opt for the manual. I would recommend that one. So if we look at the rear passenger seats, look very impressive. There's quite a lot of room. And of course, the driver's seat is in my driving position. So I am 5'7". So if I hop in here, there is quite a decent amount of space. I mean, I'm not really struggling at all. Then down here, we are able to, of course, get some air in through the back via the climate control in the front. We do have our central armrest, which also doubles up as a cup holder. So now the rear of the car. Firstly, this is not a central light bar. These are just individual lights with a center red piece that goes the whole way across. Obviously then followed by your reverse lights, and you actually do have park distance control sensors. Not to mention you also have a reverse camera. The boot of the Elevate is actually really big, so I am sorry if this looks a little bit messy at the moment, but it is quite enormous, as you can see. And underneath here, we do also still have a full-size spare tire. That's pretty epic. You don't get that a lot these days. Another thing Honda have done is they've given the Elevate these kind of like chrome roof rails, which are really cool if you wanted to mount something on top of the car. So if you now take a look at the engine, this is the beautiful, naturally aspirated 1.5 liter 4-cylinder petrol engine, developed by Honda, and pretty much has been the heart of Honda for a very long time in terms of a lot of their cars. This engine is extremely reliable, it is extremely strong, and it will never, ever, ever break pretty much. So in terms of power figures, this engine, do not forget, it is not turbocharged. This engine produces 89 kilowatts and 145 newton meters of torque. Now, obviously, I will say, once again, I do think torque figures could be a bit higher considering the size of the car and what it is going to be doing. It's a family vehicle, so I do think torque could be a bit higher, but for what it is, fantastic. So guys, I do just want to say sorry that this video has not been up to my standards. Just this weather hasn't been permitting. It's been really terrible. I'm going to do my best to obviously make sure I nail the next Honda. I do think I might be getting the Honda Fit Hybrid eCVT again for something really special, so I am looking forward to that.